Welcome, welcome to my beautiful city of Merse in the serene countryside of medieval somewhere. Never mind those graveyards, ignore the starving peasants, and those burned out buildings. That was a planned demolition. Our town is a wonderful place to live, full of thriving and happy Ah, crap, here comes a tornado! That about sums up my time in Banished, Shining Rock Software's medieval city builder from 2014. And yet, despite all that, I can't stop playing it. It's addictive, compelling, and not afraid to hit you over the head repeatedly when you screw up. I feel I should mention that I've never really been into these simulator-type games, and as a matter of fact, I've never even played any of the actual SimCity or Sim-related titles. The closest I ever came to that would be the Civilization games, of which I am a big fan. What caught my attention for this one was equal parts the setting and the scope that it has, which is relatively small and, as a result, very focused. You're not building a massive sprawling metropolis that spans continents, but instead you assume the role of the leader of a small community of people that has been exiled from their homeland and are attempting to scratch out a new life in the wilderness. Depending on the difficulty level you select, you will begin with a small handful of citizens, some supplies, and possibly some buildings from which you will begin your new lives. From there you will need to shelter, feed, clothe, and placate your citizens as they slowly expand their settlement through the generations to hopefully evolve into a thriving community and not a leper colony. The building options in Banished are fairly straightforward and all fit in with the setting. You have wood and stone houses, mines and forest lodges for resource gathering, taverns and churches for keeping people happy, and a variety of plants and animals to harvest for food. As with any city builder, you need to find that balance between providing enough food, jobs, and comfort to care for your current citizens, as well as to promote growth. One of the greatest obstacles for me in finding that balance was pacing. Banished is all about pacing yourself and the tasks you set for your citizens. I drove many a city into the ground before I finally let go of that RTS mentality of build, 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 faster, faster, faster! There are no tech trees or building prerequisites for any of the structures in this game, and if you wanted to, you could lay out the footprint of your entire village at the beginning of the game, but doing so would drown your citizens in a work pattern that would starve them to death before 90% of the structures would be built. Having enough resources to build, as well as people to staff before you start planting new structures, is key to keeping your town on an even keel. And that really is the core gameplay here, striking that balance of production and expansion through the many decisions that you will have to make. The real beauty here is that all of these decisions come with equal parts good and bad. Planting new fields of crops are a great way to generate food, but you can only plant in the spring, and even then you're going to have to wait until the fall harvest to see any food production. Orchards and livestock have an even larger potential payout, but take even longer to reach maturity. There were many a year I spent nervously watching my food reserves dwindle while thinking, I just need to make it to fall, I just need to make it to fall. Everything you do here ties into everything else as well. Tool supplies have to be maintained so everyone can do their jobs efficiently, or you will have crops withering in the snow as winter sets in because you couldn't harvest them in time. Placement of your structures is another key element of gameplay, as the farther away your citizens' homes are from the supplies they need or the jobs they need to get to, the less efficient they will be. Workers can actually starve to death if they have too far of a walk to get to their food supplies. The impact of every decision you make on every other aspect of your city can eventually be seen in the following years for good or bad, although most of the time you may not realize it until people start dropping dead. My favorite example of this is the introduction of nomads, groups of people who will periodically show up at your town hall asking for citizenship. You can choose to let them become part of your city and enjoy the immediate influx of workers, but not only will you have to feed, clothe, and shelter them, you'll also have to be ready for a large chunk of your population to now die from old age all at the same time, because most of the adults that come in are going to be of the same age. Banished isn't without its flaws, however, the most frustrating of which can be the lack of feedback in certain areas like food production and consumption. Sometimes it seems that the food consumption ratchets up and outpaces production, so much so that even planting several new fields of crops doesn't do anything to mitigate it. There may be other factors involved that I cannot see, but even if that is the case, the game doesn't do a very good job of relaying that information. Placing the right workers in the right houses is left up to the computer, and while for the most part it works okay, I do wish that there was a way to be more hands-on in delegating who lives where so people aren't walking halfway across the map to get to their jobs. The UI in-game is actually quite nice, as you can have as many informational windows up as you want at any time and move them around the screen, but they will not stay there if you start a new game. You'll have to reset them as you want them. The simplicity of this game may also turn you off if you're looking for a real deep city builder. Expanding the city to the edges of the map is really all you can do here, and there is no win state because there are no other civilizations to interact with. The only interaction that you will get is from the traders that periodically stop by. In the end, I had a lot of fun with Banished. I really felt an investment in my settlement, watching it grow and die, and grow some more and die some more. I also found myself imagining ramifications that were not even in the game, like with the nomads. Having to look at all the different aspects of what the impact of letting them join your city would have was an interesting historical exercise. After they join the population, you'll have to build housing for them, which means they either stay in the boarding houses if you have them, or they just go without homes until you finish construction. It really made me think about how a new group of people can be ostracized from a community. Here's a whole new group of people that just arrived eating all your food and using up all your resources. On top of that, one way or another, they are all going to end up grouped together in their own area of town, separate from everyone else. Again, none of these impacts were reflected in the game itself. I just thought it was interesting that the mechanics there made me think of things like this outside of the game itself. At $20 on Steam or G.O.G.com, it's really hard to go wrong with this little gem. I hope you guys enjoyed this review and found it helpful. If you did, click on the subscribe and like buttons below, and I will catch you guys on the next one.